Welcome to Never Rewrite. I'm Isaac Askew.
And I'm Jeffrey Sherman. And today we're going to discuss how to react when somebody says to you, we've got to do more with less.
Mm-hmm.
This came up, I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and people were talking about, oh, yes, it's layoffs, and you've got to do more with less. And I had a visceral reaction of like, if you told me to do more with less, my initial reaction would be, well, let's start by lessening your functions. Like, let's just get rid of whoever just said that, because they're clearly not thinking the problem through. And, if you got to tighten the belt, cutting the idiots is...
What makes it idiotic? No, I'm not defending it. I'm just playing devil's advocate for a moment.
Right. And again, this is my visceral reaction. This is not what I would measurably say to someone who said, obviously I would not, if you came to me and said, let's do more with less, I would not say, can we just fire you? But that's my visceral reaction.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So the problem with let's do more with less is you can't really do more with less. What you really are going to do, what you really are hoping to do is do less of things that don't matter so that you can do more of things that do matter. Right? The cut the fat kind of thinking instead of, we had 10 people and they were each cranking out 10 widgets. So we were doing 100 widgets. And now we had to tighten our belts. We have 8 people. And so each person's going to have to do 12 widgets. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You have to dig deep. Maybe not deep, but you should not think, oh, we're going to do more with less. It's how do we do less of things that are wrong or don't matter, right, or be more efficient.
Yeah, I've seen how this compounds when it comes to like layoffs, at least.
Mm-hmm.
If you try that mentality of more with less, you end up having, like, let's say you had a team of 15 people and you have a team of 5 after layoffs. If you're still trying to do that same level of operations for that team, that workload, unless there's other 10 people, we're doing nothing all day. The workload gets distributed between those 5 people. And if you're not careful, you have a cascading series of people who leave because they get overworked. I can't do this anymore. We just had layoffs. The company's not doing right. Okay, I'm just going to look because I'm too stressed by this. And then there's 4 people, and then the work gets reallocated again between those 4, right? So more with less doesn't work in that regard. I think the way that you're describing it is the best way, the best optimistic interpretation of it. Because what ends up, what I've seen end up happening is exactly what you describe, is they go, okay, well, we have 5 people. Let's take a really good kind of metacognitive look, think about the way we think, look on how we're doing our current operations and see what, we can stop doing, or let's see if there's a way to outsource one of the things we were doing, or find someone else we could, change the responsibilities of our team so we don't own that particular piece anymore. Things like that to help alleviate the workload. And that's doing more with less, so to speak. But again, to your point, it's really just being smarter with your time.
Right, yeah. If somebody came to me and said, hey, we just had layoffs, now we need to work smarter. I'm like, oh, yes. Smarter, not harder. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm with you. Cut the fat, with you. More with less? No.
Yeah. It's almost like just work harder, which if you burned out before, or if you were close to burning out, layoffs, will at least...
Well, layoffs are a sign that what you were working on wasn't useful.
True. Yeah, that's also true.
Right, because in theory, if you were a manufacturing company, right, and you were actually making widgets, and you were having layoffs, you wouldn't be doing layoffs because you wouldn't have, like on the assembly line, if each widget was profitable, you would not be cutting people on the assembly line because every widget that they cranked out brought in money, was profitable. So either it's not profitable to make the widgets, or like you're making too many, right? Like you just couldn't sell that many. So you're having literal layoffs in the traditional sense of, oh, we were making 100 widgets a month and now we're only selling 90. So we are going to let somebody go because we only need 90. But again, there you're not doing more. You're doing exactly the same. You've just cut back production.
Yeah.
But in tech, when people say more with less, I it's a sign that they haven't internalized that what they were doing before wasn't right. I mean, I guess that's a better way to say it is. With somebody saying more with less, it means that they haven't internalized that what was going on before was wrong.
Right.
In the profitability sense.
Yeah. So I guess maybe, I guess the visceral reaction is the part of the deception. You feel kind of like you're not owning up to your mistakes.
Yes, that's a great way to say it. So yes, it's my visceral reaction. Polite way is if somebody says to me, "Do more with less," my visceral reaction now that we're talking through is you haven't acknowledged that what we were doing before was wrong, and you intend to keep on making the same mistake.
Right.
So going to the other half of the beginning of what we were saying is, how do you respond to that? Mm-hmm. So now that we've determined that, okay, it's, more with less is wrong, and some other things you could say, and why more with less is wrong, right? The reaction of you haven't acknowledged or internalized what you were doing wrong before. So for the listener, what are some useful things we can tell you to do? So the polite version of what I was saying before is, mm-hmm. or what you started saying, like, look, let's have a discussion. Let's schedule some time to figure out what we were doing that was not useful or profitable so that we can figure out ways to stop doing it.
Right.
I guess it would be like cut the fat or work smarter meetings to figure out how to work smarter.
Yeah. So I think it's really useful to have kind of brutally honest town halls after those moments, right? I feel like a lot of times you'll have those cheesy crying CEOs are like, this is the hardest decision I had to make. And you're like, they're getting paid like 100 times the average employee. I had
a CEO once where we did layoffs, and it was right before the Christmas party. So then there was the Christmas party, and he got up to give a speech, and he said something to the effect of, yes, we had layoffs, but now like things are okay. And yes, we could have laid off a few more people if we'd done something like cut my salary, but we all know that wasn't going to happen. Mm. At which point the COO ushered him off the stage and never allowed him to talk at a holiday party.
At least he was candid.
He was very candid. Like, we could have saved some more people, honesty, but that would have cut into my salary. So no.
But that's what everyone's thinking. Right, like so, like I'm actually kind of happy that he finally was honest. Like it's like that's nice.
Wall Street is very transactional, and you can generally feel that people are honest with you because it's not worth lying to you.
Yeah, but either way, having a town hall where you can actually, I mean, I know sometimes you don't have the culture of, like maybe it's too toxic of a culture at certain companies for you to be able to be honest without your head being on the chopping block next. Mm-hmm. But in great company cultures, that's when you can be like, how did this happen? By saying something like doing more with less, how can we distribute this so that we don't have this compounding effect where everyone gets disgruntled and burn out and they decide to pick a different company? What are you doing to keep us here? Because right now this is, how are we riding the ship? This looks like a sinking ship. And if you can have people who can call out in pretty blunt terms, to whoever the manager or the VP of engineering or the CEO, whoever is the highest ranking person on the call,
right?
Then I feel like those cultures are going to do better, especially if the people are just kind of honest back with them.
Right. Yeah. Explicitly calling out hey, if we're truly going to try to do more or even the same amount, but just with less people, we're going to have burnout and people are going to leave and things are going to get worse. We're going to get into a death spiral.
Right.
Asking people to acknowledge that and be like, hey, yeah, maybe that's not the best phrasing for this stuff.
Yeah. Especially trimming the fat, right? The idea that we just had all this excess and we were just like messing around this whole time. And it's actually your fault as employees,
I've been at places where you could legitimately say, They were doing lots of experiments, and so they had
Mm-hmm.
lots of teams that were producing things that were not producing value because they were experiments.
Oh, like R&D. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but less directed than R&D. Just like, hey, we've
Mm.
got this business idea and we funded it, and now we're not going to fund it. But like
Yeah,
there,
okay, that happens all
you're
the
cutting
time.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, well, like this didn't pan out.
Yeah,
We're
product
cutting
line that we
this.
thought was going to
We're
be
cutting
good.
like we
Yeah.
cut the people and we cut the project. But that's not do more with less because like in those cases, like you're cutting the project too.
You're doing less with less in that case, right?
Right? Yeah.
The
Well,
reasonable thing.
trimming the fat, like you're cutting
Yeah.
unprofitable items.
Yeah. That's what it's to be used for. Unprofitable items like, that product. But I'm just saying, like, in general, using it in terms of people. Like, we're just, times are tough. The market's changed. We're trimming the fat. And by fat, we mean all you
People.
employees because we want to keep our salaries. But yeah, in the context of just like, we're putting a product on hold, and we unfortunately have to let go of the people that we hired. We overhired for a product that we were optimistic about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's that's worded a bit more responsibly. It's like we don't have the money to fund this thing that's not making us money, and we overhired for it. It was our mistake, and then we had to correct it by letting people go, and we're owning up to that. That hits a lot harder than we had layoffs. Don't know where they came from, man, but we got to do
Yeah.
more with less now.
Yeah. I have definitely been at both places where, hey, we had layoffs and,
Yeah.
the world changed and we had layoffs and our strategy was perfect, but the world changed
Yeah, it was the
versus,
world's fault.
yeah, versus,
Yeah.
hey, we thought this was going to happen. It didn't happen. We were
Yeah.
wrong. And so now we have to lay people off because we overhired or we bet on the wrong horse.
Yeah. And honestly, it's powerful to me hearing somebody from a high position say, I was wrong. We were wrong. This was my mistake. Because of our mistake, we impacted our company's future. I've
Well,
heard
even
that
if they don't use
like
the word
twice. Yeah.
yeah, I've heard it a few times. Even if you don't use the word mistake, like this is these are the things that we thought.
Yeah.
Like these are the expectations. This is what we thought. This is what we wanted to happen. The opposite happened, right? Like even if you
Yeah.
go with so far as to say we made a bet and the bet was reasonable, but it didn't work, and so now we're not going to throw good money after bad. Like I have also heard people take the middle ground of I defend my chain of reasoning and my actions, but I acknowledge that I turned out to be wrong.
Yeah. I've heard that one too, actually. Yeah. But yeah.
And I don't know if that feels more face savvy, like if that feels more defensive or not. Because part of me is like, yeah, I like hearing, here's what we thought, so that I can now judge
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, this was the bet we were making, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Versus, we were just wrong. I kind of like it better that way because it shows some level of consideration.
I've seen it in companies where they'll actually, that chain of reasoning is talked about every couple of weeks. Like, here's what we're doing. You have a big company meeting, and they say, oh, we're going to go down this venture because we think X, Y, and Z. And then later, when they reflect on it, if it goes bad, and then they go, this was my chain of reasoning, which we've talked about publicly
Mm-hmm.
for the last 2 years. So everyone should know the chain of reasoning. No one complained about it or caught us. So, it's everybody's kind of, prerogative at that point to kind of listen to where the company's going and ask those kind of critical questions as well. If you have a chance to, sometimes people aren't as transparent.
Yeah. Awesome. So, summarizing, if somebody says do more with less, it's a sign that they haven't truly internalized or considered what went wrong. And the things that you should try to do is, have discussions about what went wrong and why they went wrong. Have discussions about how to do less. Like, don't do more with less, but just figure out what things aren't worth doing anymore or were
Mm-hmm.
never worth doing.
Right.
And 3, polish your resume. No.
Always polish your resume. Just
Always
keep it up
polish
to
your
date.
resume. Polish
Every
it
time you
until
do
it's
anything.
until
Yeah.
it's totally worn away.
Completely. I was going to go for like completely reflective, but worn
Oh
away.
yeah, smooth reflective surface. All anybody sees is a mirror.
It's yourself and your great work in the
Yes.
mirror. Okay.
Were there any other points that we wanted to make on this?
Nah, we're good.
No. All right, good. Well, thank you all for listening. I'm Jeffrey Sherman.
And I'm Isaac Askew, and this is Never Rewrite.